Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon for all of you. Yes, today we're going to discuss a new concept, that is free electron theory of metals. A free electron theory of metals. Most probably, some of you know about this already. Okay, learn it properly. Then we had to think about quantum theory, okay, band theory, all those theories that we are supposed to analyze. Okay, first concept today, free electron theory of metals. Free electron theory of metals. Okay, this theory has been put forwarded by the two scientists. This is a classical theory, don't forget. This is classical theory. Just I will put some points only that I will going to put it, and then afterwards I will show the whole the explanatory, whatever the portion is present in the form of notes, that I will show it, and I will send that, notes. Okay, this is the classical theory. Quantum theory afterwards we had to discuss. Okay, this it has been put forwarded by the two scientists. One is Drude and Lorentz. Lorentz already have come across. Okay, even in relativity concept, there also that you have come across, and also in mathematics also. Lorentz transformation equations that you have studied, I think it's so. Okay, he's a good mathematician also. Almost all the physicists are good mathematicians, because without mathematics background, we cannot understand the physics portions here. Okay, anyhow, what is the brief account? Brief account of free electron theory of metals. What it states? It states that the metals are good conductors of electricity. All of us, we are aware of that one. I will consider some metal. This is a metal which is a good conductor. Which is a good conductor. Metals are good conductors. Good conductor of what? Of electricity, as well as it is said to be conducting the thermal also. That is a temperature, that is heat energy also, it can conduct very easily. So it is a good conductor of electricity. It is a good conductor of electricity. And the electrons can move. The electrons can freely move. Inside here now, the electrons are here. These are not atoms. I'm not talking about atoms. I'm talking about electrons here. These are all electrons. Okay. These, whatever it is present here now, they are called by the name free electrons. They are all having the free electrons, and the free electrons are freely, they are moving inside the metal. They are moving inside the metal. This theory has been developed by the two scientists. One is Drude, the other one is Lorentz. Okay. Due to this free electrons motion, it can be easily explained why the conductors are having the good conductivity. These metals are having the good amount of conductivity, especially electrical conductivity, because of these free electrons can move from one atom to another atom, therefore it is conductive. If that is the case, it's okay. But still, we have to analyze the concept properly. We will understand in a better way if I'm taking up the next concepts. They said that, Drude and Lorentz, they said that it is just like the gas. If I'm considering this is the gas molecules, where the kinetic theory of gases already we have come across now. Okay, the gas molecules which are containing some gases containing some molecules here. The molecules, they are all moving. These are all molecules. The molecules, if they are moving, how they are moving like that. Inside the metal also, the free electrons. So free electrons inside the metal, gas molecules inside the gas, they are almost similarly, they are behaving. They behave similarly. I hope you understood what is that meaning. If I'm choosing a gas, inside the gas, molecules of the gas is present. The molecules of the gas is not stationary. They are all moving in different directions here. With a free motion, they are moving. And where the kinetic theory of gases is holds good. Kinetic theory of gas, it is holds good. It is, we can apply the kinetic theory of gases here. Even in first semester that we have studied about the kinetic theory of gases, even in second PUC we have studied chemistry. But in first PUC, first year degree mathematics that we have studied, physics, first year degree physics that you have studied, second PUC chemistry itself that you have studied about the kinetic theory of gases, where we can apply. Even in first PUC physics also you have studied, yes, certainly. Kinetic theory of gases in detail that you have studied already. We can apply all those things to the gas molecules. Similarly, here electrons are also moving in different directions inside the metal. Therefore, we can apply the kinetic theory of gases here also, because it is said to be in the form of electron gas. It is an electron gas, where here we can apply Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. We can apply the Maxwell's Boltzmann distribution, where it is kinetic theory of gases, where it is applicable, means for the gas molecules, we can apply the Maxwell's Boltzmann distribution here. Yesterday we have come across Maxwell distribution or Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics also. Instead of distribution, you can write even the statistics. We can apply it. If it is applicable here now, this is also it is applicable here, because they behaves one and the same. They behaves in the similar fashion. They behaves in the similar method. Okay. Therefore, next, after the derivation, everything is over, I will take up Wiedemann-Franz law. What is that Wiedemann-Franz law that states? That I will going to take up that one for about 2 marks. Let me consider now that Wiedemann-Franz law is also satisfactorily we can explain if I am considering like this. If I am considering all these conditions, we can apply the Wiedemann-Franz law. Means conductivity divided by what is that? The conductivity and thermal conductivity. Of course, electrical conductivity divided by thermal conductivity is a constant for all the given materials. That is Wiedemann-Franz law. I will explain that one. Wiedemann-Franz law. That itself that we had to ask for about 2 marks. Separately, I will explain. So anyhow, that Wiedemann-Franz law we can apply and we can easily explain by this condition here. By this condition, meaning inside a metal the electrons are moving. They are all free electrons. It is just like a free electron gas. Just like gas molecules inside the gas, how they are moving, where we can apply the kinetic theory of gases. Therefore, here also we can apply the kinetic theory of gases inside the metal. We can apply for the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law for the molecules here now. Little bit bigger size particles. Okay. These particles, if it is applicable for the Maxwell's-Boltzmann distribution law here, we can apply the same Maxwell's-Boltzmann distribution law even for the electron gas, where the metal which is containing so many number of electrons, I can consider that one as an electron gas. We can apply easily Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law to this one also. Based on that, we can explain Wiedemann-Franz law. We can explain. Okay. Wiedemann-Franz law. Possible to explain. We can explain. Okay, it's very easy. Now, the problem is Pauli and Sommerfeld afterwards, after some time, Pauli and Sommerfeld, both are scientists again, they suggested that classical Maxwell-Boltzmann statistical law, which cannot be applicable, Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law, it is not applicable, like that. Who said? Okay, the two scientists, one is Pauli, the other one is Sommerfeld. Okay, Pauli's exclusion principle already has studied now. Pauli and Sommerfeld, they said Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law we cannot apply. I will write like this: Maxwell's Boltzmann distribution law we cannot apply, but we can apply Fermi-Dirac distribution, where Pauli's exclusion principle holds good. Okay, Pauli's exclusion principle holds good, where Fermi-Dirac distribution FD statistics holds good, but we cannot apply Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law. Who said that? Pauli and Sommerfeld. Right. Based on these modifications, they said that this electrons, whatever it is present here now, this electron and this electron, they are all interacting with respect to each other. Because of that here, one electron energy can be divided into smaller number of energy spaces here now, called by the name the energy continuum, is also called by the name the energy band. Due to the interaction of one electron with the another electron energy. Electron energy which was discrete, only one energy level. We know that in second PUC we have derived that equation now. En is equal to minus m z square e to the power of 4 divided by 8 n square h square epsilon naught square. This is a formula we have derived long back. So meaning it is having a particular energy. One electron is having a particular energy level. Okay, if another electron of the same energy, if they are interacting, then it has been divided into two energy levels. Like that, if n number of atoms containing n number of electrons, if they are all acting or interacting, then they are all energy levels, they are splits up into n number of equals, whatever the small energy levels here, called by the name the energy continuum here, that is called by the name the energy band. Okay, they are called by the name the energy band. Therefore, electrons can occupy this energy band. These energy bands, somewhere else they can occupy, anywhere else here. The highest field energy is called by the name Fermi level. All these ideas were given by the classical theory. Since it is a failure, then we will take up the quantum theory. Since it is a failure, first we have to analyze the failure theory, the concepts, derivations, everything that we have to learn. Then we had to go for the next concept, just like your basic atomic physics, or maybe the nuclear physics, nuclear models, or atomic models, or nuclear models, if I'm considering. So one model that we are going to study, why it is a failure, we had to study. Then we had to take up the next model. Similarly, we have to study. Okay, what are the points here now? Today in Lorentz classical free electron theory, all metals which are containing a large number of free electrons, which can move freely through the interatomic spaces. The free electrons suffer repeated random number of collisions with the lattice vibrations and the defects and other impurities. It is go on colliding. The free electrons are treated with a equivalent to a gas molecules which have 3 degrees of freedom, x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. The electron gas is also having the 3 degrees of freedom. Because of that, we can say they are the free electrons. They are called by the name the free electrons. Okay, hoping that you have studied. Just I will show it now. What are all the concepts? It has been finished. Just you go through that. Okay, but only one thing that I want to say here now. The electron is having a negative charge. Another electron is also having a negative charge. Don't forget. Minus and minus. Electron and electron is having the repulsive force. But if electron is removed, then ion is forming here now. By an atom, ion is forming. So you are aware of atomic structure here. This is the nucleus is present here. The electrons which are revolving around the nucleus. Inside the nucleus here, protons are there, neutrons are present inside the nucleus. If I'm removing one electron here, if I'm removing here, now you are going to have the nucleus here and electron separately is present here. This electron is called by the name the free electron. This nucleus is having now positive ion, I can consider, because it has lost one electron. This is an atom. This is an atom. Atom is electrically stable, electrically neutral. Once one electron is removed from that orbit here, outermost orbit, now it is this valence electron, if it is removed from that orbit, it is called by the name of free electron. If it is losing one electron, then the nucleus turns out to be a positively charged ion. Now, I can say between here to here, there is a force of attraction. Between one free electron to another free electron, there is a force of repulsion. But according to Drude and Lorentz, they said that once it is removed here, don't consider the force of attraction between the positively charged ion, that is a nucleus, to the free electron. Once it is removed, finished. There is no repulsive force between the free electron to another free electron. One free electron to another free electron. Let us imagine there is no force of repulsion. There is no force of attraction between the free electron and the positively charged ion. All these conditions, all these ideas that we have to think, assumptions that we have to think, and then we are supposed to analyze, and then we have to start the derivation. We have to start the derivation. I have to start the derivation now. Now I'm supposed to start the derivation, but before taking up the derivation, whatever I explained, I'm showing that. Okay, now I will going to show the explanatory portion itself. Just understand, then I will take up the derivation. Now I will going to take up the derivation. Okay, before that, just to read once. Possible to understand these ideas, just to see that. Quickly, just to read once, understand. This Wiedemann-Franz law, I will explain that one afterwards, what this states, because this itself is an important question for 2 marks. Wiedemann-Franz law, that itself is an important question, that is. Wiedemann-Franz law. After this chapter, you have to study the band theory of solids also. That band theory of solids means energy bands. So either you had to write up to here, or you can write these points, no problem. You can write either this or this, previous one or this one. Anyone you can write, no problem. I have given the two concepts in the form of points also that I have given. Whichever is easy for you, you can. Both are one and the same. You can observe that the free electrons are treated as equivalent to gas molecules. Same idea. Ideas are same. Whichever that you require to write for your examination, you can write. In the first page that I have written only the explanation. In the second page or third page, it has been written only the points. Point by point, it has been written. So whichever it is easy for you, you can go through that particular the chapter, particular notes. You can go through that. Concepts are one and the same. Okay. Yes. Now we're going to start the derivation. The first derivation under this chapter, an important derivation under this chapter, derive an expression for the electrical conductivity of metals, and hence derive Ohm's law. You are aware of what is that Ohm's law? Okay, if possible, I will explain the Ohm's law today. Otherwise, by the next class, take your second PUC and I think ninth standard physics, and also second PUC one book. Just you take up and go through that. What is that Ohm's law states? Okay, if possible today itself, that we will think about that one. Okay, first idea, a derivation. Derive an expression for electrical conductivity of metals. Electrical conductivity of metals. Derive an expression for electrical conductivity. Okay, conductance is different, resistance is different. You know about that already. R representing electrical resistance, taken from your previous years of portion, maybe second PUC. R is called by the name the resistance, electrical resistance. Okay. Rho is called by the name resistivity. G is called by the name conductance. Sigma is called by the name conductivity. They are all different. Don't have an idea that resistance, they are one and the same. Resistivity is different, resistance is different. With some condition, resistance of a conductor is equal to resistivity, provided if the area of cross section is equal to 1 meter square. The length is equal to 1 meter. Okay, all these conditions are there. And 1 by R is equal to G, 1 by G is equal to R. Resistivity and conductivity, these two are reciprocal to each other. 1 by rho is equal to sigma. Sigma is equal to 1 by rho here. Otherwise, 1 by sigma is equal to rho. These two are having reciprocity. These two are having the reciprocity. So 1 by resistance is called by the name the conductance. 1 by resistivity is called by the name the conductivity. Don't forget about these ideas. Okay. Now I can start. Now I can start the derivation based on these concepts. Okay. Yes. And now only I can think about that. One more concept. If x is the displacement, let us consider x is the displacement. Then I can write dx by dt. This is called by the name the rate of change of displacement. Shall I take this one as velocity? Rate of change of velocity dv by dt. Shall I take this one as acceleration? Okay, first few concepts. Instead of writing this one, shall I write the second order derivative of this one? D square x by dt square. That is acceleration. Correct? dv by dt, that is acceleration. Therefore, acceleration can be written like this or like this, where x is the displacement. This is a basic. This is the basic. Okay. Now, let us consider a conductor here. I will going to consider a conductor or maybe a rod. I can consider here. This is a rod. I will consider a rod like this. This is a rod. This is cross-sectional area is present here. A is the cross-sectional area. I will consider that cross-sectional area is equal to 1 unit area of cross-section. This is the rod or a conductor. This is a rod or a conductor. Don't forget. It's a rod or a conductor whose cross-sectional area is equal to 1. I have taken unit cross-sectional area it is containing, which is having a length is equal to L. L is the length of the rod, length of the conductor. Between one end to another end here, we are applying a potential difference of V here. We are applying a potential difference of capital V between the two ends. Across the two ends here, between the two ends here to here, we are applying a potential difference of V volts. So let us consider V be the potential difference applied across the two ends of the conductor. The conductor length is equal to L, whose cross-sectional area is A, that is taken as 1. Clear? Potential, whenever it is said to be existing, there must be an, what is that? Electric intensity. Certainly there is an electric intensity. Maybe from here to here there is an electric field or electric intensity. I will consider an electron here. This is an electron whose charge is equal to minus E. This electron is activated by this particular electric field. It is experiences a force opposite to that of the electric field direction, taken from your lower class concept. This electron, which is having a charge, is equal to minus E. So don't forget, if I'm choosing a charge, if it is plus Q, if it is acted by an electric intensity like this, E, then along the same direction, it is acted by a force. F is equal to E into Q, provided if it is a positive charge. If there is a negative charge, if it is present here, if the electric field is acting like this, then due to this negative charge here now, the force that is acting in the opposite direction like this. This is a basic idea. That force is given by F is equal to here minus Q into E. See the difference between here to here. Negative sign indicating that the electric field and the force, these two are oppositely directed. That is the meaning. Quantity one and the same, but the directions, this direction is acting along the direction of the electric field, but this direction is acting in the opposite direction of the electric field. Here also, the force that is acting in the opposite direction to the electric field is acting like this. This electron, it is acted by a force. That force is equal to this much. How much is that force? If this is the electron here, minus E is the electron charge. If electric intensity is acting like this, E is the electric intensity or electric field. Now, there is a force that is acting like this. That force F is given by, what is that? How much? Minus E into E. Which direction? Opposite to that of the electric field. These ideas are borrowed from your second PUC electrostatics portion. Second PU electrostatics. Apply that one to here. I think this is also present. This idea, drift velocity and other concepts already have studied in your second PUC. Taken from your second PUC, this idea also, of course. Okay. Now, therefore, I can write here F is equal to how much? The force F is equal to minus E into E. Correct? But if same force I can write M into A. I can write. Where M is the mass of the electron. This is mass of the electron. Mass of the electron. Hoping that you have understood. You have to write all these concepts. Because in the notes that I cannot give all these concepts. Okay. These concepts are taken from your 3-4 years back. Okay. Second PU portion. Yes, I cannot incorporate all these things in your notes. Okay. I can write directly this. I will equate these two now. Because this is also a force, this is also a force, this is Newtonian force, this is electrostatic force. According to Newton, according to electrostatics, Coulomb electrostatic force. I can equate these two here. If I'm equating these two here, I can write MA is equal to how much? E is equal to MA. But A, I can write that one as A can. Yes. Yes, any doubt? A is equal to d square x divided by dt square. So substitute that idea here. Therefore, minus E is equal to M into d square x divided by dt square. Instead of A, I am writing the second order derivative of displacement. D square x divided by dt square, where x is the displacement, of course. X is said to be the displacement of the electron. Displacement of the electron. Displacement of the electron. So minus E is equal to M into d square x divided by dt square. Therefore, acceleration is equal to how much? D square x divided by dt square is equal to how much? That is equal to minus E divided by M. Minus E divided by M. Right? Integrate both the sides. For that purpose only, I have written with the differential equations like that. It has been written. Easy to integrate now. So integrating on both the sides. Okay, by integrating. Integrate on both the sides now. As we're integrating on both the sides here, this will be becoming dx divided by dt is equal to integration of this. Integration of minus E divided by M into E into dt. Here with respect to time is there. Here with respect to time. Here also with respect to time. Okay. So therefore, dx by dt is equal to minus E divided by M is a constant. Integration of dt only we are supposed to do it here. Minus E divided by M into t. Plus a constant of integration. Since it is an indefinite integral, I will write a constant of integration, C. So let us calculate how much is the C value here. Let us calculate C is how much. This C is equal to how much? Constant of integration is how much we had to calculate using the boundary conditions with initial conditions. So what is that initial conditions? When t is equal to 0, means when the time is equal to 0, displacement of the electron is equal to 0. So put that. When the time is 0, displacement is equal to 0. Therefore, C is equal to 0. When the time is 0, displacement is equal to 0. Therefore, C is equal to 0. Therefore, I can write dx divided by dt is equal to minus EE divided by m multiplied by t. Or you can write like this only. I wrote capital E, therefore I have written minus E here. Okay. This is the velocity. This is the velocity. Actually, this is a drift velocity. Minus EE divided by m into t. Right. Now I supposed to calculate the mean free path because we had to apply the kinetic theory of gases. Don't forget, mean free path is it was coming under kinetic theory of gases. First year degree. First year degree. The portion taken from first year degree now, or your lower class. Kinetic theory of gases, even in PUC level. So what do you mean by mean free path? Mean free path means what? What is the concept of mean free path here? Anyhow, electron is moving like this. Now this is maybe I will consider the rod here. These are all electrons. This electron if I am considering here, or this electron if I am considering, this electron is moving like this, colliding on another electron. This electron is moving, colliding on another electron, and it is returning back. This is classical physics, don't forget. This is classical physics. But if I'm choosing, sir, by this time, this electron is also moving, then the problem will becoming still worse. Now let us imagine this electron is moving, forget about this motion, hitting on this one. And now this electron, it is scattered like this, coming back like this. Again, it is moving like this. This electron only that I have written here. This electron is moving, colliding on another electron, and then scattered, coming like this. Again, it is moving, colliding on another electron. Again, it is going to get scattered. Like this is go on happening. Now, between one collision to another collision, there is a time gap is there. One collision, this is the first collision, this is the second collision. Between one collision to another collision, there is a time gap is there here. The time gap is called by the name. The time gap is called by the name. What is that? The two successive collisions, whatever the time gap is present, the time gap is represented by, what is that? Tau here. Represented by tau. So what is that tau? Taken from your second PUC. That is a time interval. Relaxation time. Heard about that in second PUC. Second PUC has studied about this. Called by the name the relaxation time. 10 to the power of minus 14 seconds. Okay. So electron is moving like this, going like this, moving and colliding. Between any two collisions, time taken is this. Between two collisions, successive collisions, of course. Between two collisions, there is a time gap. There is a time gap. And there is a distance also it has traveled. The distance traveled, I will take it as lambda. The electron is moving like this, colliding. One collision. Moves like this, again it is moving. This distance, whatever it is covered here, I will take it as lambda. Time taken between the two consecutive collisions is equal to tau. That is relaxation time. Now I suppose to define the average velocity between the two collisions. average velocity between two collisions is equal to how much? I supposed to calculate. The average velocity, don't forget, average velocity. I will write that one as dx bar, I will write v bar or dx bar divided by dt is equal to how much? I supposed to calculate using your integration and the concepts, other concepts. So how to do that one? So how to do that one? Integration of varies from initially it was 0, finally it is equal to tau here, 0 to tau, varies from 0 to tau, minus EE divided by m into t dt. This is a total average velocity, not between the two collisions. Between the two collisions, if I want to, this is a total average velocity it will come in. Between the two collisions, if I want to consider here, I suppose to consider 1 divided by tau here. This is not lambda, it is tau. This is the time interval between the two successive collisions. This is the distance traveled between the two successive collisions. This is the average velocity between the two successive collisions. Is equal to this. Now integrate. Let us integrate this one. So as you are integrating this, then you are going to have dx bar divided by dt is equal to minus, I can take out all these things here, E divided by m tau. Tau, torque, you have used now the same tau that we are supposed to write. Don't write lambda here. Okay, lambda is different. Right? This is tau. This is lambda. So carefully you have to write. Don't write capital T. Okay. Into this one, integration of t. Integration of t is t square divided by 2. Varies from 0 to tau. Lower limit, upper limit. Substitute the upper limit and lower limit one by one now. You know about the method of integration. So use that concept. Dx bar divided by dt is equal to minus E divided by m into tau. 2 also we can take it outside, no problem. Denominator. Then the remaining thing is equal to here, tau square minus 0 square. Therefore, answer you are going to have minus E divided by m. 2 is also there, don't forget. 1 tau is going to get cancelled here. Okay, so you are going to have 2. Minus E. This tau I have not written, I will write it here. 1 tau is going to get cancelled, remaining 1 is present as it is. Okay. Followed up to here. This is average velocity of an electron between the two collisions. We found the average velocity of an electron before it is colliding with the third time. Between the two successive collisions, what is the average velocity of the electron is present inside the conductor? We have written the concept like this, minus E tau divided by 2m. It is depending upon the electron charge, electric field, whatever we have applied, mass of the electron, tau also, relaxation time, or the time interval between the two successive collisions. And then you know about already one concept, second PUC concept. The current is equal to NEA into VD, where VD is the drift velocity. Already you have come across about this. This derivation taken from your second PUC. This is second PUC derivation. You take one second PUC book and see that. I is equal to NEA, where N is the number of electrons per unit volume of the conductor. When N is the number of electrons per unit volume of the conductor, I is the current, whatever it is close to the conductor. E is the electron charge, A is the cross-sectional area, VD is called by the name the drift velocity. The drift velocity only that we have written here. Average velocity, instead of V, I have written dx bar divided by dt, nothing else. Same thing, Vd is this. So anyhow, I have written Vd taken from your second PUC concept. If A is equal to 1 here, because we have chosen area of cross section is equal to 1, is it right? Already I have shown it now. Area of cross section of the conductor is equal to 1. Area of cross section of conductor is equal to 1. Therefore, I will put A is equal to 1 here. Therefore, I is equal to how much here? I is equal to NEA. A is equal to 1 here into Vd. This is 1. Right? Now I suppose to define J, current density, again taken from your second PUC. These ideas are borrowed from your second PUC. Current density is equal to current divided by area. That is equal to NEVD. If I am taken A is the cross-sectional area, that is equal to 1 if I am choosing, then current and current density, they are one and the same. Current is a scalar quantity, current density is a vector quantity. Current divided by area is called by the name the current density. Current divided by area is called by the name the current density. So therefore, NEVD you are going to get. NEVD. Okay, that is J. Right. Continuation. Therefore, J is equal to how much? I divided by A, that is equal to minus NEVD I suppose to write here now. But in place of Vd, that I will write dx bar divided by dt. Therefore, minus NE dx bar divided by dt. Dx bar by dt means that is Vd here. Vd we have chosen in lower class. Here dx bar by dt we have chosen in the higher class. Therefore, J is equal to this. Correct. But dx bar by dt is how much? Dx bar by dt is equal to, already we have proved now, we have derived, is equal to minus EE tau divided by 2n. Minus EE tau divided by 2n. So substitute that. Minus EE tau divided by 2n. So therefore, J is equal to minus NE. Substitute this. Therefore, you will be having J is equal to N E square. Minus into minus will be coming plus E into tau. Right. But tau is equal to how much? Lambda divided by U. Substitute that. N E square E divided by EM, lambda divided by U. Here also I will going to multiply it by U. Denominator also I multiplied by U. Multiplied by and divided by U. Value will not change. Only for our convenience that I have written. Therefore, J is equal to N E square. 2 already gone somewhere else. Okay, this is 2. Here, 2. Okay, therefore 2 is coming here. 2 we have left out. So this is half N E square E divided by M lambda U divided by U square. Simple mathematics. But we know that already we know under the kinetic theory of gases, half mu square is equal to 3 by 2 kT, where K is Boltzmann constant, where K is called by the name of the Boltzmann constant. T is absolute scale temperature. If 2 get cancelled here, mu square is equal to 3 kT. Mu square is coming here. Substitute this 3 kT here. So therefore, J is equal to how much? Half n E square E lambda U divided by 3 kT. Very simple derivation, but little bit lengthy, nothing else. Yeah, let it be lengthy, no problem. If it is a simple concepts are present, then it will be easy. So that is equal to how much? N E square E lambda U divided by 6 kT. But we know that J is equal to sigma into E, where sigma is called by the name the electrical conductivity. Current density, electrical conductivity. Sigma is called by the name the electrical conductivity. Therefore, this can be replaced by this. Therefore, sigma E is equal to N E square E lambda U divided by 6 kT. Therefore, sigma is equal to how much? This is electrical conductivity. Is equal to N E get cancelled on both the sides. Lambda U divided by 6 kT. This is electrical conductivity. Ohm's law in vector form is this. J is equal to sigma E. Ohm's law in vector form. So anyhow, I will show it. The concepts I will show it. Just you go through this, understand all these concepts. This is the concern notes. This notes that you are supposed to write at the time of examination. Go through all these things, still you are having the sufficient time.